Today, I want to explain why we haven't had as many whistleblowers as expected during the AMC saga. And that reason is because whistleblowers are actually in danger and they're not appropriately protected. So stay tuned and let's make some money. And now I'll dive straight in with the key information. So, Frank tweeted saying JP Morgan is to pay an $18 million fine for violating whistleblower protection rules. It says the firm's confidential agreements impeded clients and employees from communicating with the SEC. The SEC today announced settled charges against JP Morgan Securities for impeding hundreds of advisory clients and brokerage customers from reporting potential securities law violations to the SEC. JP Morgan agreed to pay an $18 million civil penalty to settle the charges. Now, before I read the rest here, let's quickly examine what that actually says and what that actually means. If JP Morgan is stopping whistleblowers, then I'm sure many other companies out there, many other funds, market makers and institutions are also stopping people from blowing the whistle. Due to confidential agreements like NDAs, which employees would have had to sign and clients too. It didn't just impact general clients, it also impacted brokerage customers and I'm sure employees on top. Now, I don't know if it explains exactly how they impeded clients from communicating with the SEC, whether it's through threats or something to do with the agreement. Maybe we'll find that out by scrolling down. By the way, they didn't just impede one or two people, they actually impeded hundreds of people from communicating and reporting violations to the SEC. So as I said, if it's happening at JP Morgan, I can bet your bottom dollar that it's also happening at places like Citadel too. So it says, according to the SEC's order from March 2020 through July 2023, JP Morgan regularly asked retail clients to sign confidential release agreements if they'd been issued a credit or settlement from the firm of more than $1,000. The agreements required the clients to keep confidential the settlement, all underlying facts relating to the settlement, and all information relating to the account at issue. Again, if it's impacting retail clients, retail investors, I'm sure it's also impacting their employees as well. Gerber Gruel, director of the SEC's Division of Enforcement, said whether it's in your employment contracts, settlement agreements, or elsewhere, you simply cannot include provisions that prevent individuals from contacting the SEC with evidence of wrongdoing. But that's exactly what we allege JP Morgan did here. For several years, it forced certain clients into the untenable position of choosing between receiving settlements or credits from the firm and reporting potential securities law violations to the SEC. The either-or proposition not only undermined critical investor protections and placed investors at risk, but was also illegal. So if JP Morgan is literally stopping its customers from blowing the whistle, how on earth would employees manage to blow the whistle either? Especially when I'm sure threats made towards employees can be many magnitudes larger than threats made to retail customers. Also guys, we just had back-to-back 100% plus gainers in the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group. You'll remember from Tuesday we had PHUN that did 264%. Well, yesterday on Wednesday we also had MIMO that did 102%. Ross absolutely killed both of these trades, locking in 100% on PHUN and 60% a day later on MIMO. Today we also had another 25% on PHUN, which Jake capitalised on with an 18% gain. We also had an absolutely crazy S&P 500 put option that ran for 163%. Guys, the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group has a 100% guaranteed refund policy if you don't make a profitable trade in 30 days. So guys, be sure to join the MMTG Discord using the link in the description below. Now, I also wanted to do some FUD busting in this video, busting a few different FUD comments I see on YouTube and a few different FUD comments on Twitter. Many people out there, like Charles Gasparino as an example, say that Adam Aaron is working with the hedge funds because he's been selling his AMC shares and not buying shares. Apparently, he's been trying to bankrupt the company and he's been taking a massive payday by selling shares. Now, IC Assistants replied saying your statement makes zero sense and lacks any credibility mathematically. Adam Aaron has no obligation to purchase shares, nor does the causation or correlation exist. What that basically means is there's zero correlation between CEOs and chairmen buying shares and successful companies, nor is there any kind of correlation between CEOs or chairmen selling shares and failing companies. As a prime example, I'm going to show you some companies that should theoretically be bankrupt by the number of insiders, CEOs and chairmen that are selling shares. Here's the first one. You can see transaction after transaction for directors, EVP of operations, the CEO, CFO and everybody else are selling shares and exercising shares to be sold over and over and over again. Every single transaction on this page has been a sale, not one single buy. Surely this company should be bankrupt, right? But this company is Nvidia, consistently hitting new all-time highs. Again, another company that should surely be bankrupt. COB and CEO is selling and exercising, selling and exercising, selling. Every single transaction on this page. Surely this company should be bankrupt because it's a sale transaction. Actually, it's Meta, one of the biggest companies in the market yet again. Again, we've got another company here, sale, CFO, senior vice president, CEO, everybody else is selling shares, bail out the company right now, this company's going under. Oh wait, hang on, that's a brain dead comment, this company is Tesla. If actually from those last three screenshots it shows there's a massive correlation between CEOs selling shares and successful companies, not the other way around. IC Assistants also gave a quick example from the other side. One company where their insiders are buying tons of shares is GameStop, which is down 83% from its highs, the same as AMC. So really, whether insiders are buying or selling makes zero difference to the stock price. Now again, MarketWatch also posted an article about worn-out investors contributing to AMC's stock slide. But as Biotech Moose replied, he says, where's the evidence that investors are worn out? He said AMC buys are outpacing sales every single day. The OBV is still high, FTDs continue to accumulate, and retail investors are at all-time highs, from Twitter sentiments and questionnaires or polls. He said, oh wait, the ideal that investors are worn out is an opinion piece with zero research. But again, we know by now that MarketWatch will post any old FUD to try and get clicks from retail investors. On top of that, the Progressive Patriot tweeted saying these fools saying that shorts are making money shorting is absolutely ridiculous because short sellers lost $200 billion last year. Now, Sithbal Sakis replied saying short sellers did lose money on Tesla, Apple, Nvidia and others, but they made money on AMC as AMC's price fell. Which technically for the moment is true, but let's also remember that when a hedge fund gets liquidated, they don't just have to close out of their losing positions and keep the winning positions, they close out of everything. And that's because even though they may have made a few $1 million shorting AMC, they've lost billions and billions of dollars elsewhere shorting other companies, leaving a net result, small gain, giant loss of still a massive loss. On top of that, it costs short sellers a fortune to hold their open short positions, which they're still doing. That's why they've lost so much money over the last year. And he said the best part is that current loss is only a fraction of what they'll lose when AMC and GameStop soar. As I've said previously, we know these meme stocks are in a meme stock basket, and therefore when one hedge fund gets liquidated, all the hedge funds get liquidated, and when one meme stock squeezes, they all squeeze. Because when one hedge fund goes under and has to close out of all of their short positions, including the ones in GameStop, AMC, Nvidia and Tesla, then all of a sudden, all of those stocks get pushed upwards, liquidating even more short sellers. Finally, check out this article and this comment from Kristen about how much of an impact illegal short selling had on South Korea. So she's pulled an extract saying South Korea's financial watchdog said illegal short selling accounted for more than 20% of daily transactions in a number of stocks. Apparently, a Bloomberg report showed that naked short selling impacted 0.001% of the total value of the Korean stock market over the last 2 years. But their financial watchdog dug deep into individual stocks and said that in some stocks it was as high as not 0.001%, but as high as 20%. And she said, let's hope they name the stocks that were targeted, the number of shares impacted, and how much money the crooks stole from investors. It seems like Bloomberg is trying to stick up for these illegal short sellers and try and make out like it's not a big problem. When South Korean's financial watchdog is saying actually not only is this a small problem, not only is it a problem, it's actually a giant problem impacting 20% of transactions. I think it's really great to see that South Korea's financial watchdog is actually taking illegal short selling seriously and is really digging deep into individual stocks. They're not just fining one or two banks and say, guys, look, we did our job, we fined some banks, go back to usual, short selling is back on the menu. They're saying, actually, we fined these big banks, but actually it's such a massive impact, we think it's still going on, and we think there's some stocks that are especially vulnerable. Therefore, we still need to make changes and we still need to keep short selling banned. And that's why John Berta has actually created a petition, or at least reposted a petition, to temporarily ban short selling in the United States stock market. I think a petition like this went round in the past, but I think now that more and more regulators overseas, like in Korea and the UK, are starting to realise how much of an issue illegal short selling actually is, I think this petition could now get more traction. I think policymakers and those at the government and at the Fed are now more likely to consider an outright ban in short selling now that other countries like South Korea are doing so, and other countries like the UK are just about to do so as well. But guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.